Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. City Clerk, would you please take roll?
Councilmember Cooper?
Here.
Councilmember Beaton?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Zielinski?
Here.
Councilmember Goodspeed?
Here.
Mayor Smith?
Here.
Councilmember Grabowski?
Here.
Councilmember Pontiac?
Here.
City Manager?
Here.
City Attorney?
Here.
DPW Director?
Here.
Finance Director?
Here.
Planning and Zoning Director?
Here.
Public Safety Director?
Here.
And City Engineer?
Here.
Thank you. Public hearings, we have none. Citizen comments on agenda-related items. This is an opportunity for citizens that are present to comment on agenda-related items. If you do wish to make comment, please come forward, state your name and address, and limit your comment to 5 minutes. Are there any citizens that wish to make comment on agenda-related items? If not, we'll move on. Consent agenda. All agenda items marked with an asterisk are on the consent agenda and considered by the city manager to be routine matters. Prior to approval of the consent agenda, any member of council may have an item from the consent agenda removed and taken up during the regular portion of the meeting. Consent agenda items include approval of minutes, cash balances, revenues and expenses, consideration of proposed city ordinance 18-1, adding chapter 866, medical marijuana facilities to the city of Manistee codified ordinance, consideration of city ordinance 18-2, amending chapter 411, Michigan Vehicle Code to add a provision allowing the city to charge an individual under the super drunk driving law, notification of the next work session. At this time, council could take action to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Goodspeed and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Zielinski. Any discussion or comments? Please take roll.
Councilmember Cooper?
Yes.
Councilmember Beaton?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Zielinski?
Yes.
Councilmember Goodspeed?
Yes.
Councilmember Grabowski?
Yes.
Councilmember Pontiac?
Yes.
And Mayor Smith?
Yes,
Motion approved.
thank you. New business. Consideration of administering the city clerk oath of office. At the September 19, 2017 city council meeting, council appointed Heather Peffley as the city clerk effective January 5, 2018, after the retirement of current city clerk Michelle Wright. According to section 13-14 of the city charter, an oath of office must be taken before assuming the duties of this office. At this time, the mayor will administer the oath of office for the new city clerk. City clerk, oath of office. I state your full name.
I, Heather Peffley,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of this state,
the Constitution of this state,
that I will faithfully perform the duties of the office
that I will faithfully perform the duties of the office
of City Clerk of the City of Manistee,
of City Clerk of the City of Manistee,
State of Michigan,
State of Michigan,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
I also certify that I have not violated
I also certify that I have not violated
any of the provisions governing municipal elections
any of the provisions governing municipal elections
in the state of Michigan
in the State of Michigan,
as provided in section 13-14
as provided in section 13-14
of the chapter of the City of Manistee, Michigan.
of the Charter of the City of Manistee, Michigan.
Thank you. Consideration of approving professional services by the Spicer Group to complete portions of the city wet weather correction active plan. The current NPDES permit includes requirements to complete a wet weather corrective action plan. The ultimate goal of the program is to eliminate combined sewer overflows. The scope of work includes creation of the MDEQ-approved wet water corrective action plan, submitting status reports, and all the work required to complete a basis of design for the final capital projects. At this time, council could take action to approve professional services to be performed by the Spicer Group in the amount of $772,000 to complete portions of the City of Manistee's wet weather corrective action program.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Zelinski and a second by Councilmember Goodspeed. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, could you explain to me what the 772,000?
Good evening, council members. When we took out the general revenue bond, if you recall, there was a line item it was actually for $950,000, and that was to prepare the basis of design. And it's a kind of a long, lengthy, detailed process we had to go through with the MDEQ, and it outlined step by step what they require us to do to basically identify the design for the removal of CSO 18. And so I'm not going to go through all the details of that. It's included in your packets, and you've seen it before. But some of the major items, a big portion of it is televising of the sanitary sewer system. So under the SAW grant, we were able to do approximately 2/3, I guess, of the system using the SAW grant, but we couldn't televise all the wastewater system with that. So we borrowed out of the general revenue bond. We're going to borrow money to do televising, and that's included in this as part of it. There's wet weather and dry weather modeling. The City of Manistee doesn't have a hydraulic model of its system. We need to construct one, and we need to do that so we can simulate a basin. We can simulate lining pipes, taking pumps out, putting pumps in, conveying water around the city. So there's going to be a lot of time just to put together this hydraulic model and then running simulations, doing cost analysis, and presenting that to the DEQ and to rural development, because they require you to go through a pretty regimented cost-benefit analysis, because they want in the end, when we issue a basis of design, it to be the most cost-effective approach the city can take. So they're really putting a lot of pressure on us as engineers in the city to go through a process of trial and error, I'd call it, and alternatives to determine the best solution for the city, the most cost-effective. So it's got the modeling, it's got televising. We've already done parts of this. The smoke testing that was done earlier this year is included in this. That work was done throughout the entire city. We've identified about 200 locations throughout the city that quote-unquote smoked and are potential sources of inflow into the system. That equates to almost 20 acres of property that we believe could drain into the sanitary sewer system. And if we remove that for their design storm, we think we can take about 1 million gallons of potential surface water out of the system, which is equivalent to $2, $3, $4 million in the construction of a basin. So it included smoke testing. We'll be back out in the spring doing on-site inspections, looking for specific connections to the system. We'll be dye testing, and so that's included here, all those field inspections. Trying to think without, let's see some of the headliners here. We'll be doing a lot of, we've been doing flow monitoring for the last 3 years. So this includes the end of that flow monitoring and preparing the studies and I&I analysis to complete the flow monitoring work. Which, if you're not familiar, we put 12 meters in the system about 3 years ago, and those were in under the SAW grant. And then since that time, we've had 3 meters in the wastewater system that we've moved around to try and isolate areas of higher inflow and infiltration. And That's been going on. We've been collecting that data. We'll prepare reports from that data, identify inflow and infiltration quantities in different regions of the city, and to help us kind of focus or hone in on where to do some work. And then ultimately, it's preparing this basis of design report to the DEQ standards, taking everything we've gathered to date and writing up an analysis with all those cost benefits, the different alternatives, and a recommended alternative that in June of 2018 now, we will issue to the DEQ, and that will be the marching orders that the DEQ will expect the city to design and build. So when all this work goes into coming up with the appropriate solution to construct a project, that'll have to be completed in 2 years after that to eliminate CSO 18. So a lot of it's finishing data collection, and then there's an immense amount of analysis of that data that's going to be happening in the next 4 to 6 months. And we budgeted 950 to start with. We think right now it's about 770. I think that, it's very likely it could be less than that, but I really didn't want to short myself. I didn't want to come back to council and, in 2 months and say, hey, we didn't put enough into this budgeting. But we're doing just what the DEQ requires, and it is a lot of work. It's an immense amount of work, and it's hard to explain all the real intricate details of it, but I'd be happy to meet with anybody too, and sometimes it's easier just to sit down and walk through it, and I could do that as well if somebody was interested in doing that.
And as I understand it, Mr. Middleton, the part of the reason for this is that you're going to have to hire subcontractors because of the timeline and not having enough staff yourself to complete the project.
Yeah, there's certain things we don't do. Televising pipes, we have televising equipment, but we don't specialize in it. We're not the professionals has. We'll be hiring that work out. And
this is fully funded under the recent bond that was issued?
Yes, it's specifically under that $950,000 line item. This is what this amount is for.
Any other questions or comments?
Just, I was reading I read over the DEQ letter that you received, or we received. They seem to be pretty strict on the timeline. How do you feel we're going in that direction?
Well, it is an extremely, we've had these conversations, and it's extremely intense timeline. Right now, I think we're doing actually okay. I'm mostly worried about when we get to the basis of design done in June, then we're gonna have to turn around and design a project, put it out to bid by January of 2019. So it's 6 months to design and bid out a pretty significant project. That's really where they crunched us. And then they give a 1.5 years, 2 years to build the project, which in that in itself is probably reasonable too. But probably the toughest thing would be that design period starting in July. So we're kind of cheating a little bit. We're doing things today. We're talking to property owners about property for a basin, or we're looking into the costs of lining projects and these things kind of ahead of the schedule. But so it'll be tough. We're doing everything in our power to meet those deadlines.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. So just so I understand, once this is completed and submitted, you design how big of a holding facility we need, or a holding tank? And
Yeah,
then we close the CSO and that's the end.
Yeah, and there'll be another large part of it too, and that's the lining of the infrastructure. So we're attacking at the source of the I&I, which is up in the pipes, and we're gonna have a fairly significant lining project, which we just submitted a rural development application for funding of that work, and that'll be lining probably a third of probably close to a quarter of the city's pipes in several districts that we've seen. So that's one project we have to design and bid. At the same time, we'll be designing and bidding a holding tank facility, the conveyance and pipes to get it there, screening facilities, disinfection. There's that whole process in itself is pretty intense.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? City Clerk, could you please take roll?
Councilmember Beaton?
Yes.
Councilmember Goodspeed?
Yes.
Member Grabowski?
Yes.
Councilmember Pontiac?
Yes.
Councilmember Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Zelinski?
Yes.
And Mayor Smith?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. Consideration of applications to boards and commissions. The city clerk has taken action to advertise vacancies on the Board of Review, Compensation Commission, Historic District Commission, Parks Commission, PEG Commission, Planning Commission, Tree Commission, and the Zoning Board of Appeals. Mayoral appointments require a motion, second, and council voted support. Nominations for council appointments do not require a second. After all nominations are made, council votes on the nominee until one nominee receives majority support. The following applications have been received. Board of Review. We have one vacancy, an alternate member, term ending 12/31/2020. Applicants must be a city taxpaying registered voters. This is a council appointment. Gerald R. Haw, 421 Cedar Street, is an applicant for this position.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Gerald R. Hall of 421 Cedar Street to the term ending 12/31/20 for the alternate member.
City Clerk, would you please take roll?
Councilmember Goodspeed?
Hall.
Councilmember Pontiac?
Hall.
Councilmember Cooper?
Hall.
Mayor Pro Tem Zelinski?
Hall.
Councilmember Grabowski?
Hall.
Councilmember Beaton?
Hall.
And Mayor Smith?
Aye.
Nomination approved.
Thank you. Tree Commission, one vacancy, term ending 12/31/2019. Mayoral appointment. Gerald R. Haw, 421 Cedar Street. I would nominate Gerald R. Haw, 421 Cedar Street.
I'll support the motion. For the,
Need a
wait a
second?
minute.
I'll second it.
I have nomination by Mayor Pro Tem Zelinski and a second by Councilmember Goodspeed. Would you please take roll?
Councilmember Grabowski?
Hall.
Councilmember Goodspeed?
Hall.
Councilmember Beaton?
Hall.
Mayor Pro Tem Zelinski?
Hall.
Councilmember Pontiac?
Hall.
Councilmember Cooper?
Hall.
And Mayor Smith?
Aye.
Approved.
Thank you. Notices, communications, and announcements. I have two items. If all the council members would accompany me to the front, please. You know, it isn't often that we get an opportunity to recognize some really significant achievements and accomplishments, contributions that people have made to the city. And it's a real pleasure to do that. Michelle, if you would come up, please. I'm gonna grow you in front of the Resolution of thanks and appreciation. Michelle E. Wright. Whereas Michelle began her career with the Manistee City Clerk's Office on August 14, 1989, steadily and deservedly advancing to her current role as City Clerk, Deputy Treasurer. And whereas during her tenure, Michelle demonstrated outstanding leadership, resilience, initiative, and professionalism in execution of her many duties and responsibilities. Whereas through hard work and dedication, Michelle received her certified Michigan Municipal Clerk, Master Municipal Clerk, Certified Public Finance Administrator, and Michigan Certified Professional Treasury Certificates. And whereas Michelle was twice nominated for Clerk of the Year for the Michigan Municipal Clerks Association. And whereas Michelle was instrumental in navigating the many transitions and managing the many projects that faced the clerk and treasurer's office over the years. And whereas Michelle was always and will remain a great friend to the employees of community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that on behalf of the city, of the Manistee City Council and the citizens of this community, we give thanks and appreciation to Michelle E. Wright for her long and loyal service to this community, and congratulate her upon her retirement as of January 5th, 2018. Further saith not this resolution.
Why?
Jeff, I'm gonna ask you to come up here and stand by for a missing member. This is another significant event, that we have. Resolution and thanks and appreciation for Jim Polanski. Whereas Jim Polanski began his career with the city of Manistee on September 11, 1978, as a welder in the Department of Public Works, but is most widely known as the Christmas decoration engineer. And whereas during that 40-year tenure, Jim Polanski demonstrated outstanding capabilities in a position destined to take full advantage of Jim's special talents and experience. And whereas Jim worked quietly behind the scenes, fulfilling his responsibilities in a professional manner. And whereas Jim was always and will remain a friend to the employees of the city of Manistee. And whereas Jim Polanski has served the city of Manistee with pride and dedication since September 1978, completing almost 40 years of service to the community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that on behalf of the Manistee City Council and the citizens of this community, we give thanks and appreciation to Jim Polanski for his long and loyal service to this community, and congratulate him upon his retirement as of January 5th, 2018. Further saith not this resolution. I want to, if you have this, and if you would call me, I would like to change. You're not gonna hug them.
I'm not gonna get you right here.
What?
One of the most pleasant aspects of this job is being able to recognize the accomplishments that we've had and the tenure of some of these folks. Very well done. Notification. Concerns and comments. Citizen comment. This is an opportunity for citizens to comment on municipal services, activities, or areas of city involvement. Citizens in attendance shall be recognized by the mayor for comments limited to 5 minutes. Letters submitted to council will not be publicly read. Are there any comments? Any citizens that wish to make comments tonight on any services? If not, we'll move on to officials and staff.
Yes, I just want to make council aware that we closed on the sale of our 2 industrial lots last Friday, and a lot of credit goes to the city attorney. He had to do a lot of last-minute details, so they're transferred. Good news for us.
City attorney.
Your Honor, just if I could, in my tenure working with the city, there are frequently times where I need documents or need information, and whenever I've asked that of Michelle, I can't tell you how professional she's been and how quickly she'll get me the information I request. I'm sure council has the same experience, and she'll be missed, although I'm looking forward to working with Heather as well. Thank you.
Thank you. City clerk.
Thank you. Nothing else.
Okay. Public safety director. Okay. Public works director.
Two quick items. We're very close on being able to skate on the ice skating rink. I just met with Sheila tonight. We've had, with the cold weather, it seems like the snow has insulated it somewhat. The ice is almost all the way through to the full thickness, but we're still getting some water that seems to be coming back up and around it. We've had members of the community, nothing organized, but members of the community that can't wait to get out and skate. So they've been shoveling over portions of it, and for some reason that seems to be bringing water up on the portions that are not shoveled. I think Sheila would agree that we are not ice engineers, so we're not sure why that's happening, but we're getting real close on it, and hope to have it open soon. We'll do some Facebook announcements and stuff to make sure the community is aware when that happens. The other thing I just wanted to remind you is that starting Sunday evening, the Public Works will be running 3 separate shifts. So we'll have 24-hour coverage Sunday evening through Friday evening. That just gives us a gap on Saturday where we won't have people scheduled to be in, but the rest of the time we'll be able to do things like obviously snow plowing. I think we'll be able to get a bigger jump on sidewalks, keeping up with that. Other miscellaneous activities that we do, like helping out with the ice skating rink and such. So we're excited for that.
While you're up, I have a question.
Sure.
Getting a lot of questions asked about a lot of people are concerned about the water freezing. Do we have any issues right now, or should people be, I know we're gonna receive a notice, but can you kind of put everybody at ease a little bit?
Sure. Just before Christmas, or the week before Christmas, the billing department sent out our run water notices. So we keep a list of addresses who have services that are susceptible to freezing. So if you have a frozen water service in the past, you're added to that list. We notify you to run the water, and then in the spring we'll notify you when it's safe to shut that off. That's not citywide. That's just that fixed list. So those letters went out. If anybody has any questions on if they didn't receive their notice, if they have questions on whether or not they should be on that list, they can call City Hall to the billing clerk, and she'll look up the address and verify that.
I think the question is right now, we're hearing on the news how other areas are having a citywide water run. And because of this cold temperatures and the extension of these cold temperatures coming, they're concerned about freezing up. And
Sure. Well, I can tell you that we have not had any frozen water services to date. I hate saying it, and I got to knock on wood. We did have a service that split, and it was a defective galvanized pipe. When we did that repair, we noticed that the frost was about 18 inches in the ground. So it's not to a depth where we're at all concerned with the water infrastructure. We had, I think, 3 places in town that had some frozen, 4 places that had some frozen issues. One, there was an access door left open, caused a lot at a restaurant, caused a lot of problems there. We actually were able to use our jet de-icer that we purchased several years ago and help thaw out the portion of their pipes, so they got back up and running. We had a vacant apartment with plumbing and an outside wall, and it froze and caused some issues. And then we had a crawl space that's unheated, and or a basement that's unheated, and the meter's close to the wall, and we had a freeze up there. So with these temperatures, you've got to keep the pipes warm. But there's no concern at this point with our system.
thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Finance Director.
I just want to let council know that it's been my pleasure to work with Michelle over the 15 years that I've been with the city, and we're all wishing her a very happy retirement and getting out to do the stuff that she enjoys. Thank you very much, Michelle.
Thank you. Planning and Zoning Director.
I just wish Michelle all the best, and I hope she has lots of fun. She's retired, and I'm looking forward to working with her.
City Engineer.
Again, just thanks, Michelle, and it's a real long time to work with you, but really enjoyed it, and enjoy retirement.
Councilman Cook.
Happy retirement, Michelle.
Michelle, I hope you
maybe go someplace warm. And I hope that you enjoy your retirement. I know obviously everybody's going to miss you. And that being said, I'm also going to echo what somebody else has just said. I'm looking forward to working with Heather. I think she's showed a lot of poise during a couple of things that has happened over the past few years, and I think she'll just do very well in her job. I had a couple of things that I wanted to talk about. The sale of the property for the 2 lots. I have been vocal in the past, and I'm going to continue to voice this opinion. I think this is a one-time event that we should take advantage of. This is a unexpected windfall that we have of money, and I think it should be dedicated in some way, or we should remember at budget time to put that toward local streets. So I'm planting that seed again in everybody's mind, because I will be pushing for trying to get as much money as we can toward repair of local streets. And I'm sure, based on the reaction of everybody's reaction at last budget session on local streets, I think that you're all there too. I just want to put that out there, that it's a great opportunity to bump that fund up. The next thing that I wanted to just ask, we're going to have a work session next week, and we're going to talk about curbside recycling. And I hope somebody tells me at that time what the people over in Harbor Village are going to do, especially those on the second floors, what they're going to do and how they're going to handle recycling bins in that area, because I think it's going to be an interesting problem for them to grapple with. So hopefully you can address that and have an answer for me.
We'll
by the way.
try.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's all I have.
I just want to echo what everybody's been saying about Michelle. Anything I've ever asked for, she's always supplied it in a timely manner. Also, welcome Heather. I'm looking forward to working with her.
Michelle, you're awesome. I'm gonna miss you. Heather, you're gonna do great.
Michelle, we go way back, so if you're going someplace warm, take us with you. So, the second thing is, I did get a lot of complaints, and I called Jeff about the snow plowing on Sunday. I got it in church, got it at the restaurants, got it all over the place. So I called Jeff, and he came out, and I saw it plowed out later, so. Would it help, Jeff, if we could put out some notice, you know, I don't know what the heck you do with notifying people we aren't plowing or we're gonna plow or something, because it's, you know, people get excited right away because they're paying their taxes.
Well, I'm not sure there would be an efficient way to do that. Certainly, things will be, the service levels will improve on Sunday once we start that 24/7, because we can react
That'll be good.
faster and you know, address issues as they come up. We try to do our best, especially over these holiday weekends, trying to look at what the forecast, you know, not just what happened right now, what's coming, what could come, what's happening tomorrow, trying to balance out overtime budgets. And we did plow every week, every day this past weekend. We did not plow the local streets, but we monitored them. Myself and another person drove those just about every day, checking on them. We're in constant contact with the police, so we're trying to balance out what those service levels are.
Good, that, you know, because, I mean, I did that for 33 years, calling Public Works Fire Department, and, you know, I mean, you start getting all these calls, and they don't understand you're not plowing side streets, just the main drag, so
Yeah.
they got all excited.
Yeah, our priority over the weekend really was US 31 and the major streets, and then we had a lot of slippery spots that came up, and we had to address those. And then with the wind coming up, we'll probably have to come out tonight to do drifts again. So we just address those as they happen.
Supposed to get snow tonight or something again?
We're supposed to get a lot of snow in the
6
next
to 9
week.
inches.
5 to 7 inches is what our weather forecasters got for the next 3-4 days each day.
Good, thank you. Appreciate it.
Just want to thank Michelle for all your service and happy retirement. And I look forward to seeing you on the weekends at church. And I welcome Heather.
Michelle, I had the good fortune to be able to work with you before becoming a council member as an election worker. And the training and the guidance that you provided there was superb, and what I found was, as a council member has been no less superb. You'll be missed, but I think we have a capable person coming on board to master all those tasks. Wish you well, and I hope to see you at some of the places. I don't know if you'll be a pickleball player with your husband, but I sit at the sidelines and compute while my wife plays, so come join me and I'll pick your brain on some of these other things. But thank you very much for your service. I'd like to thank all the people that worked through the holidays. I know there was some work done out there plowing some streets, and some people weren't happy because they didn't think they got enough plowed or quickly enough. And yes, there's been some questions about run water because Fowler Township issued their township-wide run water on Facebook on Saturday, and it got a lot of attention. But you don't understand, we're a little bit different environment and such in the city. And I appreciate all that people have done. With that, we've got one last item on the agenda, consideration of a closed session, union contract negotiations. City Manager Thad Taylor has requested a closed session this evening as permitted by the Michigan Open Meeting Act, Section 8C, to discuss contract negotiations with the Police Officers Association of Michigan and the Command Officer Association of Michigan. At this time, council could take action to proceed to closed session under Section 8C of the Michigan Open Meetings Act.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Zelinski and a second by Councilmember Goodspeed.
Excuse me.
Any discussion? Please take roll.
Councilmember Pontiac,
Yes.
Councilmember Grabowski,
Yes.
Councilmember Goodspead,
Yes.
Mayor Smith,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Zelinski,
Yes.
Councilmember Beaton,
Yes.
Councilmember Cooper.
Yes.
Motion approved.